Hey guys, it's Tink and welcome back after a very long hiatus from this channel. Today we are going to be doing sort of an overview of the Paralives build mode. Now I know a lot of people have probably already done this and I don't know, I feel like not many people are gonna really... If you want to know what build mode is like, you probably have already seen a million videos on it, or you have the game yourself. So this is more, I guess, for myself than anything, but definitely let me know if you enjoy this. But yeah, pretty much we are going to be doing a Paralives build review, I guess. Because I've had the game for a little bit now. I did get gifted it on release day by a lovely member of the community. So not anyone to do with the Paralives team or anything like that. So yeah, a lovely member of the community, a close friend of mine, decided to gift me the game. And so basically from the moment it was live to now, it's been in my library, and it still is in my library, so that should already kind of give you an idea of my sort of opinion on it. So in the bottom right hand corner there is a Sims build, and that is the build we are actually designing this Paralives build on. And I decided to do that because A, this build never saw the day of light and I was pretty happy with it, and B, I thought a really good way to be able to compare the game, I say compare the game, but to review the game is to compare it to what I already know. And I feel like a lot of people do this, comparing it to The Sims, and it does feel a little unfair to compare it to The Sims, but that is what I'm going to be doing here today, pretty much. So the build in the bottom corner, the Sims build, took me 3 hours to make. I did have the game crash on me while I was live streaming, and so I lost a good chunk of the build that I had done, but because I'd already done it, I was able to go back and recreate it a lot quicker. When I have crashes and I have to recreate something in-game, it's much quicker for me to recreate it than it was to do the first time, because I'm not thinking about all the decisions. You know, for example, if I was doing the floor plan and the floor plan crashed and I just figured it out, when I go back in, it looks like the floor plan is done much quicker. So when we're considering the 3 hours I did that build in, we do have to keep in mind that part of that is because of the fact that the game did crash and I was able to make it, to recreate it a lot quicker. This build here, the one in Paralives, we don't finish, and we only spend 2 hours in the game building, just to kind of get a really good understanding of how things work and testing it out, things like that. This is not my first time playing, this is not my first build, but I decided to, for the sake of comparison and giving my opinion, that I would make sure to build something I'd already done before. Now that should theoretically make it easier for me to build in this game, but also I don't know all of the ins and outs of this game yet, so it's both a pro and a con, and I think that's really good to be able to evaluate, because I'm not having to decide what to build, I'm just having to figure out how to build it within this game, and I think that makes it a lot easier for me to be able to analyze my feelings on this game, because, you know, I've already done it, I don't have to be thinking twice as hard. So like I said, the Sims build is complete, and this one is incomplete, but I feel like for the 2 hours that I worked on this build in Paralives, I feel pretty impressed with the level of progress that I've done in a game that I don't really feel confident, and I'm not too sure of how exactly everything works just yet. I'm still in a learning process. I have watched other people play things, so I've got a little bit of knowledge here and there, and like I said before, I have built in other builds in this game. So yeah, and another thing I want to point out, when I'm making all these comparisons, which we haven't got to like the pros and cons yet and my complaints and things I love in this game, I am fully keeping in mind that this is an early access game, and the game I'm comparing it to is 12 years old. Very different standards, very different experiences, different everything. I feel like even comparing Sims on day one to Paralives now, I still think that even that is unfair, because I'm assuming Sims had an early access, even if it wasn't early access that everyone had access to, they probably had playtesters and things such as. So I still feel like even that's unfair. And also, if you look at the time difference and the abilities that people in the computer game industry, the capabilities that they had 12 years ago was much different to what is available today. So like I feel somewhat apprehensive about comparing the two games. But I do think it's something that's inevitably going to happen. I was obsessed with building in The Sims, so of course I'm going to compare this game to something that I was obsessed with doing. But yeah, I do keep in mind that A, this is an early access game, and B, the game I'm comparing it to is older, much, much older. And it has a much larger team as well. So yeah, and I feel like a lot of the complaints that I have with this game, I've kind of ignored some of the ones that are a bit obvious. I did write down a lot of things like you saw before if you're watching the screen and not just listening. The floor kept glitching out and disappearing. I'm not really sure what that is. And yes, it's annoying, but also it's an early access game, so I feel like it's sort of somewhat understandable. Also with the window placement here, I guess it's freeze or the trim keeps disappearing, and placing that window in the bottom left corner keeps making the wall disappear, so I had to completely put the new wall in. Sorry, the new window in. So I was having lots of issues with this build. A lot of things I couldn't figure out why it was happening, how it was happening, how to fix it, or anything like that. But again, I do recognize this is an early access game. We don't have, it's not released yet. I have spoken to people who said that they have got it, but they think they're not going to touch it until it's actually officially released. I'm going to keep messing around with it and having fun with it and figuring out how it works, because I'm enjoying it. But I feel like that's a fair statement. You know, if you're somebody who wants a complete game and you don't want to have to deal with glitches, that's also a fair statement. And that's sort of the approach I'm trying to come from is everybody has their own opinions, their own feelings, their own feedback, and I haven't even really approached my feelings or feedback or anything like that yet. I've just been rambling. But the point is, if you play this game and you think it needs more work before you want to play, absolutely, I get that. I totally understand that. I miss building so very much that I honestly am not even kidding. I was looking up floor plan websites and signing into those so I could build floor plans because I was that desperate to build. And I know some of you could say, well, why don't you just keep building in The Sims? I've chosen for many numerous reasons not to. Yeah, just many reasons not to. And again, if you want to build in The Sims, that's your choice. Absolutely no issues, no problems with that. It's just, yeah, my choice. I don't want to. But yeah, I think we will actually get into my review here, where I get to talk about the things I love and hate about this game. I will say that I say love and hate, but like the pros and cons list, there's slightly more cons. And the first one here that I will talk about is actually something we're dealing with right now, is the windows. I love that the windows snap to the center of the wall, so the horizontal and the vertical center. That's fantastic. But what I really don't like is trying to figure out, you can see here and many times already and after this as well, me trying to figure out how to make sure this window is even so that I can have 3 windows. All I wanted was 3 windows to be the same size. That's all I wanted. And it just took me so long to figure out how to get the right size. And then in other spaces, I was like, well, why don't I go down to 2 windows instead of 3, and just trying to make sure they fit in. I was having the worst time of my life. And I've heard other people speaking about this as well. I'm very just confused with the lining up of items. Now, it's not just windows. I do find sometimes with other items as well. I don't have any particular ones off the top of my head, but just trying to line up items, I do have one off the top of my head. It's the mirrors. You'll see me try and place some mirrors later on, and I want them to be at the same level. Now, if you play The Sims and you don't use any cheats or anything like that, or like move objects or tool mod or anything like that, when you place a mirror side by side, they end up at the same height. Like, that's just what, they're at the same place. And that's great if you're trying to create like a little like a mirror section in a gym, which is exactly what I was trying to do here, is a mirror section in the gym. I had to hope that these mirrors were aligned. Also with placing columns, you can see I definitely struggled quite a bit. This is a complaint I have for also The Sims. When you place columns and you pull them all the way up to the top level, they stay up. I don't want to have to place a column each level and try and line them up and make sure they look perfectly aligned. I don't know if that's just something I have to deal with because of how gaming works. I don't know, but it drove me insane. But yeah, I'm not too sure about the lining up of certain items. Other items line up perfectly well, like doors and stuff as well do that sort of same thing that windows do, snapping to the center to some walls. You'll see here me trying to put a wall in, a door in. On this archway, it snaps to the center, but I try and put a door to the front and I don't think it snaps, and I'm not really sure how or why that works. I swear I've seen people use doors and widen them, and I can't figure out how to do that. I don't know if I imagined that or if it's only archways and I'm just imagining the rest of the doors. I really don't know. That's more of a question than it's more of a question than a flaw with the game. It's just, I swear that's how it was. I swear I've seen it. Same with rugs. I swear I saw you be able to drag one side of the rug, and I don't know, like for some reason it wasn't working for me. You also see just there, I couldn't figure out how to undo removing a part of the floor. I don't know if that's because it's part of early access or what. I don't know how any of this works. And yeah, that's the other thing, like I don't know what's an early access problem, and I don't know what's a no, this is just a problem. Like for example, I know the roofing, I know advanced roofing is going to come later. That's not a current not a current thing we have access to. It's something they're still working on, and it even says that in the roofing section, which I think is absolutely amazing, like to give us that sort of, I don't want to say brutal honesty, but just like the fact, like, hey, we know you want to work better, like you want the roofs to work better, but we can't do that. I really appreciate that. Like I really do. I love the fact that I know it's coming later. I know it's going to be fixed later. I know that right now I just have to deal with it, and later on I won't. I think that's brilliant. So yes, while right now the roofing options are annoying, I'm not going to call that something I necessarily hate or anything like that, because I think it's really really good of them to be able to say, like, hey, we know it's something you want, we hear you, we already know, we're already working on it. Like that's been from day one. I love that. I think it's brilliant. What else? I've written so many things down and I haven't like looked at what I've done. You know what, one thing I will say, again, I do love this game. One thing I had an issue with and that really bothered me was that in The Sims, if I want to create this really intricate detailed flooring, because we have tiles and quarter tiles that we have access to, I can make these really beautiful patterns on the floor. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that in this game. I don't know how to make sure that we have these beautiful flooring options. I would love to be able to customize it like tiles. I don't know if they'll ever do that. I really hope they do, because that's one of my favorite things to do. If you look at any of like the really big buildings that I do, the reason why those videos take so long is because I spend an hour and a half on one level of the floor changing it. I generally cut out a lot of that footage because I'm like, this is just like 5 minutes sped up of me placing this floor over and over again. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna be a thing. Okay, another thing, I'm just gonna keep going up and down my list because I'm getting confused here. Another thing I'm confused on is the ceiling paint. I know we can do it because I figured out how to do it, but then other places I couldn't figure out how to do it. I'm not too sure. Sometimes I would be at eye level in a room and I would be able to click on the ceiling and change it, and other times I'd be at eye level in a room, or I wouldn't be able to get eye level into a room, so I wouldn't be able to click on it, or there would just be no ceiling and it would be the floor above, and I never got rid of the ceiling. So I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to change it or fix it. I don't know if that's a bug or a glitch. I am not sure. So that's another thing I'm confused on. Another thing that I'll say is the basements and foundations. I don't like how we have to do it in the game. Yes, we can build unlimited floors as far as I know, unlimited. I believe James Turner said he got up to 15 floors before he got bored, of like trying to see how far up he could build, which is fantastic. Like, you can build basements and things like that, or, I mean, basements aren't too hard, but it's the foundation that confuses me. I'm not too sure how that works. Or if there's an alternate way to do it that's a little bit easier and less inconvenient. I don't know. I will say that this one here is not necessarily a negative, but more of like a positive negative. I am a little overwhelmed with the color wheel. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. I love the fact that if you pick a color in an item or anything like that, it'll translate anytime you pick that item again. You can just pick that color swatch again. And if you want to take that particular color and apply it to a different item, you can just copy and paste it. Like, I think that's brilliant. I love that. But it is a little overwhelming, especially when you add all the textures to it. And that does feel like I'm complaining about, like, having it too good, I guess. But I'm very easily overwhelmed. So when I get overwhelmed, I want to panic and I want to, like, leave. So until I get used to it, I am going to have that little bit of feeling of panic, which is not great, but I'm going to stick to it. And another thing is the resizing. So I love the fact that windows can be resized. I thought the doors could be resized, apparently I'm wrong, but I love that so many items can be resized. Some of them you can't resize in the way you think you can resize them. I don't, like, when you have, I end up putting a locker in here, you just drag it to the side. I kind of forgot that that's how the lockers worked, and I started putting them down over and over again. But when I figured it out, you just drag it and they all drag out. I thought that was brilliant. But then, yeah, there are some items that don't drag out like that, or you can only resize as a whole thing. I don't know if that's something they're going to change in the future, or if that's just the way it is. But either way, I still think the whole resizing of everything built into each individual item is amazing. I just wish the bookshelves, we could resize them. We could just drag them across. That's all I want. I just want to be able to make really big bookshelves. My dream is to be an author, so of course I want a bookshelf. A huge bookshelf. That's all I want. Huge bookshelves. And yeah, the last two, I feel like one of them is like, okay, it says glitchy as to be expected. This game is glitchy. It's early access. That is to be expected. I would be really, really surprised if it wasn't. But it's a small team of people working on a game that it's a lot. I wouldn't even know how to code the start screen. Like that what they've done is amazing, and they've been working on it for 7 years, and the fact that they delayed it to get us to a point where it was acceptable for them to release according to their standards, I think that's brilliant. I love that. I fully support that, because it's very much like, you know, I feel like they actually care a lot. And the fact that they've put out so many updates to try and fix issues straight away, I absolutely love that. Because they could just go, no, we're going to focus on trying to put these other things out and whatever. But they didn't. They focused on these issues that were annoying people or glaringly obvious or whatever. And so they just went in and fixed it. And I think that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The second thing I want to note here is you'll notice soon, but you might have already noticed, certain points when I zoom out, items disappear or the mirrors get foggy, things like that. Now that has happened because I had to turn my settings down. I had to put most things at medium and some things at low, because I simply cannot run this on my computer and stream at the same time. I feel like if I was recording and playing at the same time, I could up the level a little bit, but I was streaming this at the same time. So it is a little bit heavy on my PC. It's not the world's newest PC. I believe it's about 4 or 5 years old. But not everybody has the money to be able to have even a PC. Some people just have laptops. So I can imagine it'd be a little bit heavy on those as well. And that's people who aren't even streaming, people with just laptops who are just trying to play the game and enjoy it. So I'm a little worried about how heavy the game can be. That's sort of my last complaint. I don't know if it's just my PC's really, really struggling to it's an old man PC. It's a grandpa who should be retired and donated to people who might need to use it for like Word or something. Not streaming. But yeah, that's kind of all my issues with the game, and I kind of wanted to come out with the issues first because I feel like I could talk forever about how much I love this game, because my opinion in the end is I love this game. Is it flawed? Yes. Does it need a lot more work? Yes. But it's early access and the team has already worked so hard on it, and yeah, I don't know, I'm really impressed with the direction it's heading. I think that's one of the things I put on my pro list was the quick patches. The team seems to really, really care about this game and this community. I know that this game and The Sims, it's been a little bit toxic and people butting heads and things like that. And you know what? Like I have friends who have said, I'm never touching Sims again. Like it is absolutely like refuse to do it. Some people who are like, oh, it's okay, I'll play it, but I'll play Paralives too. And then there are some people like, I'm not touching Paralives. Like I'm solely Sims person. And I think it's not the fault of Paralives at all. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's the fault of The Sims. Partially, yes, but like, I don't know. I feel like if you want to play either game, that is up to you. Because of the fact Paralives has not instantly consumed my entire soul and had me building pretty much every day since the day I got it, because it hasn't done that, I feel extra good about this game because that's what The Sims did to me. I got very addicted to it and I just wanted to build. That's all I wanted to do, and it got to the point where I was doing so much that it exhausted me. Whereas with Paralives, I feel like I can take a break and I don't feel guilty about that. I don't feel confused or like, do I even want to be building right now? Like I build when I want to and then I don't when I don't, and it's as simple as that. And I really appreciate the fact that this game has not sucked me in like that, and I don't know why it hasn't. I still love it, I still want to use it, I still want to play it, but I don't feel addicted to it, and I think that's for me the biggest thing, is not feeling addicted to the game. And that was a big reason, one of my many reasons why I decided to step away from The Sims, was that addiction to the game. It sounds so stupid to be like, oh, I was addicted to a game, but I really was. So yeah, just I'm personally really appreciating the fact that I am not feeling that way about this game, but I still love it. It's still got a long way to go, but it's got so many things a part of it that I love, like the color wheel. I know I said it was overwhelming before, it is, but I love the fact that we have it. I can make exactly what I want in the colors that I want. I don't have to stick with pre-designed colors and hope that they match. I can make them match. And the fact that we can resize objects so easily, and if you want the grid there to build on or you don't want the grid there to build on, like there's so many options for so many different types of builders, and I love that. I am excited for the curved walls. Sims made me unexcited for curved walls, but I feel like because of the fact that they're saying we can't put windows and doors in curved walls, they're trying to make it work. They're trying to make sure that before they actually give us windows and doors, that it actually does work. And I'm imagining, because I don't think it's an easy thing to do. Again, I am not somebody who codes or technologies or anything like that. I am an old person when it comes to technology. But I imagine it's really not easy. So the fact that they are doing, I feel like it's extra work. Like, they could have just released a buggy and they didn't. And I appreciate that. I would rather miss out than have something buggy, if that makes sense. What else? I did talk about the quick patches, but what else I like about this game is the easy reportability and modability. If you have an issue with the game, you just go and click up that little thumbs up, thumbs down button, and it takes you straight to a page where it's like, hey, what's your problem? Give us as much detail as possible. Put pictures in if you can. And I've done that. I've put a bunch of pictures in for build mode, because I feel like I want to be able to make things work. I want to be able to see, I want to be able to enjoy building again. And yes, the easy modability, I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I finished this build, I started looking at mods and I started downloading them through the Steam library. Only a handful. I think maybe 5, which that's handful. Like 5 is all the fingers on most people's hands. So yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good amount. Another thing I really like about the game is the customization of it. So the paintings, being able to really customize that, you can go in and take whatever photo you want and put it in the painting and make it painting, make it whatever size you want, which I think is fantastic for taking screenshots of if you play with the paras and you want to create like a family art wall thing where they all have their pictures up there, you can go do that. You just take little photos of your paras, put them in the game, and then there you go. There's all these different frames, and I think that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And the fact that like almost anything can be fully customized. You can pick all the colors and textures and everything. Like I said before, it is a little overwhelming, but also like if you have an idea in your head and you're not easily overwhelmed like I am, you can do so much. You can do so much with it. And I've seen some really beautiful builds because of it. I think it's one of those things where just none of us are being held back, and I love that. I love that we just have so much we can do. So much everything that we can do. So yeah, I really, really, really love that. Now, when I did hear my friend say I'm gonna wait for the game to be like not early access anymore before I play, I totally respect that. And I feel like I'm gonna get more excited as more features are released. For example, if there are pools and fountains that are released, I know I'm gonna be building so many things with that in there. If there are more items released, I'm gonna get excited for that as well, because I like to have many different types of items in the game. Now I know the items we have are really customizable already, and I know we can get modded stuff, but I love the idea of having items that everybody has access to. Not everybody has computers that can be modded, or the game, like, have computers that can run the modded game. So yeah, I want to try and stay away from modded, not entirely, but enough that, you know, I don't want to lean too heavily into it, because that can get crazy as well. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like this game has so much potential, and the fact that so many issues are being directly addressed, I think is fantastic. And I don't know, it just feels like this team really does care about the community. One thing I really, really want to know about is there are medical items in this game. So there, I believe, is a walking frame. I'm not too sure of what else is in here, but I want to know if they're going to be making the ability to have disabled characters, specifically wheelchair users, because when I'm building this bathroom here, I'm thinking about like, ooh, can I put a wheelchair bathroom in here? Maybe I'll do that. And then promptly realized as soon as I built the bathroom, there's no ramp to get in here, so what's the point of putting a bathroom in here? And that's when it came to me. Have you ever seen a sim life game like this, like a yeah, like that has a ramp. Like even just like a ramp in general. Have you seen one? Because I have never seen a ramp in these games. I've always had to design them myself. So that's what I want to see. I want to see ramps. That's just what I want to see. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm very hopeful for the direction of this game. I'm very hopeful for what is to come, and I'm very excited to get some really cool builds out. When we have the full game, I'm really excited for a certain build that I really, really want to do. But that is all from me today, so thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.